Hello and welcome to Super Awesome Runner. My name is Sam. I'm the host of the show on the Super Awesome Mix Podcast Network. You can find more of this show's content at Super Awesome Runner on Instagram and on Threads. And as I always note, I'm much more active on Threads. So if you want to reach me, be sure to find me there. You can also find more of other shows on this network on the Super Awesome Mix Podcast Network, including one where I co host with my co founder, Matt, and we discuss music and have a lot of fun making mixtapes and laughing about our choices. I ran an episode a couple weeks ago from that podcast, so hopefully you enjoyed, and you can find much more episodes if you search for Super Awesome Mix wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, it is 1 week away from the New York City half coming up on Sunday. At the time that I'm recording, it's Monday, so just under 7 days to go. I am really excited about it. If you yourself are running it or you know someone else who's running it, you can check out the episode that I recorded with my friend Indy a couple weeks back as we break down the course. There, we actually talked about running over the Manhattan Bridge, but this year there's going to be a change in where we will actually run over the Brooklyn Bridge, which I'm very excited for. It's going to be a lot of fun. Although that just means that there's a little bit more time spent on the FDR, which is the highway that runs alongside the east side of Manhattan. And I'm not quite as excited about doing that because, as we talked about on the show, that stretch of road just feels like it goes on for an eternity, and there's no shade and there's almost no crowds. And you just run and run and run and run. And you look at that UN building, and it just never seems to get a little bit closer until finally it's there and you take that left turn and you're on 42nd Street, which is just wild and so much fun getting to run through Times Square. This is actually a really perfect segue for what I wanted to talk about. That feeling of being on that road for a really long time where you feel like nothing is happening, and that building that is the marker of where you turn left honestly does not seem like it gets any closer through the miles and miles that you're out there running. I think that that's a very good analogy for how it feels like to make progress against a long-term goal. I currently am trying to lose weight, and in fact, finally in the last several weeks, I have figured out a diet change that has helped me lose weight. I more or less realized that I was drinking my calories in my coffee, and once I changed out the amount of dairy that I was adding and made a couple of other edits and reduced my sugar intake, thankfully, between all the exercise that I've been doing, my weight is finally starting to come off, and I'm hoping to go down in my body fat percentage because it's on the high side, unfortunately. I think that's one of the weird things about being a runner is that you can run and run and run, but still have a very high body fat percentage because our bodies are basically, in a state of being like, oh my goodness, this person's working a lot. I need to just load up as much energy as I can because I never know when they're just going to walk out the door and run for 26 miles. And I need to make sure that I have all the energy storage available to me for when this, body decides to do that again. I think that's actually why sometimes our bodies can actually, generate a lot of body fat, even though you are active and running and doing all that kind of thing. We also get more efficient as time goes on, which is just such a fun phenomenon. And I'm just so happy our bodies do this. If you can't sense the sarcasm, it is very strongly there. But what ends up happening is you become more efficient at exercise and at running. And so the longer that you do that, the less calories each of those exercises burn, which means that the amount of food that you're eating at some point will begin to be too much food, and you need to constantly be balancing that if you are looking to either maintain your weight or lose weight. So, I mean, I admit the body is a magical thing, and I'm sure I know there's a lot of reasons why it's beneficial that it becomes more efficient and you burn less calories over time. But whenever you are trying to lose weight and fit into the pants that you used to be able to fit into, it can be very frustrating to learn that you have to work even harder to shed some pounds and get fit again. But c'est la vie. It's a little side biology there for you in terms of our body chemistry and what it's all about. Either way, though, I want to talk about that progress element, right? So it might be weight loss, it might be running a marathon, it might be starting a business, it might be having a long term, successful, happy marriage or relationship, any number of things where the goal basically is a very long way out. And you show up on day one, you have all the excitement in the world, you are motivated, you feel motivated, your body is pumping you with dopamine, you might have friends and family that are cheering you on, you might have random internet strangers on threads that are cheering you on, and you're feeling really good. And you might be able to knock out that first day, first week, even the first month, no problem, because you've just got that energy and your body's doing its thing and your brain is rewarding you for taking on this new task and you feel good. You're really happy about these positive life changes. But then what ends up happening about a month in, you don't necessarily see the change that you were looking for. In fact, you might feel no change. And oftentimes you might actually feel like you are now worse off than whenever you started. For me, that is especially true whenever I start a new exercise program. If I've been sedentary for a while and I suddenly start running and lifting weights, it's very normal for you to bloat, and so you will actually gain a lot of water weight because your body needs extra water to basically rinse your muscles and help, get rid of the lactic acid buildup and help with the muscle repair to get you back on track. So you're really excited. You go and you work out, you're feeling great. You step on the scale and your weight is up 4 to 5 pounds. That can be very, very demoralizing. So, how do you get yourself to keep going? Well, what I have found is really helpful for me is to really rely on visualization. And for me, that means closing my eyes in, a moment. Sometimes this could be a full 10-minute session of like a meditation style visualization, or this could be a 30-second, a 15-second, even a 10-second check-in where I can just close my eyes if it's safe to do so. Think about the goal that I'm working towards and specifically allow myself to feel how good I'm going to feel when I'm at that goal. So, whenever I was training for a marathon, I constantly was visualizing myself crossing the finish line. I got to the point where I felt like I knew I was going to do it and I had experienced it 100 times before. So that when I did actually cross the finish line, it was just kind of this confirmation moment of something that I had thought about for a very long time. And I needed that in the, deep part of my training when I was running 18 miles on a weekend, and that would be like a 3.5 hour run in some cases. It's a very large time commitment just on the activity itself, not even thinking about the night before where you go to bed early or the day after where you're recovering or all the other work that goes into it in the hours and time. Those miles can feel like forever and that program can feel like it lasts forever, and you really need something to keep you going. The motivation is going to run out, your dopamine is going to run out, and no matter how much you started off excited, there will be a long stretch of time where you feel like you're not doing the thing, where you don't see any progress, where the goal line feels like forever away, that UN building remains tall and far away in your field of vision, and you just start to question everything you're doing. So that's that moment when you just need to pause and check back in with yourself and think about how good you're going to feel at the finish line, whatever that finish line is. And it's more than just thinking about it. You genuinely need to conjure up the feelings that you're going to feel when you are at that finish. So if it's starting a successful business or making your first sale with this business or your first $10,000, whatever that goal is for you, I want you to really allow yourself to feel like it's happened. You're in that moment, you've gotten your first sale or you've gotten that first royalty check, or you've reached 5 years of being sober. How good are you feeling? Really be as specific as you can in your mind. This is a great opportunity for journaling too, where you can write out how you're feeling and imagining it. We've talked about journaling in present tense. That might work for you if that doesn't feel silly. I have to admit, sometimes it feels a little silly, but all of these thoughts and feelings need to intermingle in your mind to remind you that that is what you're working towards. You have this goal in mind, and it is going to feel far away for most of the time that you're working for it. But it's nice to bring in that reminder that that is what you're working for. That has helped me a tremendous amount in my current weight loss journey. I will be faced with, any number of poor health choices throughout the day, including getting a second or a third serving of something that's yummy, even though I'm full, or ordering ice cream, even though I don't want it. Or rather, I do want it, even though I shouldn't have it, is what I should have said. So there's these moments and these temptations that are going to be a dime a dozen, hundreds of times a day, and when I'm faced with that decision of, do I get the cookie? Do I get the ice cream? Do I get the second helping? I do take 5 to 10 seconds, literally close my eyes, think about that morning weigh in, whether it's tomorrow morning or whether that's a month from now, and hitting my goal weight and hitting that, doing the body scan of my trainers. And so, looking at my body fat percentage dropping and how good I'm going to feel and my clothes fitting again. and I allow myself to live in that space. It doesn't, again, it doesn't take long. It can be anywhere from 5 seconds to 10 minutes, whatever you want to do. And I am now reinvigorated to make the choice that I need to make. So that would mean not getting the second helping, or realizing that, hey, I'm full, I should stop eating, or realizing that rather than maybe going for ice cream, if I'm craving something sweet, get some fruit. Fruit is a very, very healthy alternative, and I get a little bit of a sugar fix that way as well. All of this to say that progress takes a lot of time. It will test you. It will feel like you're doing nothing. You're going to want to quit 100 times over. That is all absolutely normal. And it doesn't say anything about you. And even if you do quit and you kind of trip up, that's an opportunity, as I've talked about a long time ago on the show, to check back in with yourself and reevaluate, does that goal still matter to you? There have been plenty of times where I might have like a binge day because I thought that I wanted that, but then afterwards I just feel junky and I don't feel good, and I don't feel good about myself, and I'm unhappy with the choices that I made. I need to forgive myself, because I'm a human being and we're all going to have those days where we might kind of backslide or do something that we don't feel very good about. So step 1, forgive myself, give myself that grace. Step 2, thank myself, because it allowed me to reestablish the importance of the long-term goal that I have. That ends up being a data point of like, no, you know what? It turns out I really don't want to binge on ice cream and on cake and eat poorly, because I don't feel good afterwards. Whereas the days where I eat salad and eat fruit and avoid a lot of excess bread, those days I go to sleep feeling accomplished and just feeling healthier and lighter, and waking up, better and just more energized. So those little days whenever you might backslide can help you check back in with that goal and reestablish it. As someone has said to me many times before, a habit, is like a lifetime event, right? You are trying to encode this into your daily routine. So if you have a day here and there where you don't necessarily do the habit, or you miss it, or it just goes haywire, or whatever the case may be, as long as those days are minimalized and less frequent as time goes by, you're doing a great job. You really are. So give yourself that little space, treat yourself with some grace. As I always say, give yourself space and grace, and reestablish the goal, and just keep going for it, because you're going to hit it. If you want to hit this goal, you are going to hit it. If you have made that commitment to yourself and that commitment is important to you, you will get there. It might be a very long journey. It might have a lot of left turns and right turns and speed bumps and walls to climb over and walls to blow up and whatever the case may be. But if this is something you genuinely want, I really believe that you're going to hit it. You will reach that goal, and it's going to feel all the more better for the amount of work that you put in whenever you're there. So give yourself that little pep talk. Check in with your feelings, allow yourself to feel those things of, imagining where you're at 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, because whenever you do arrive there, it'll be a familiar feeling in a weird way, because you will have known that you're going to do it all along. And that's a magical, wonderful thing. That is it for me this week. Another short-ish episode of Super Awesome Runner. If you are running the New York City half next week, I wish you all the best luck, and hopefully the weather holds out for us and your body feels great and you have a lot of fun. I always tell people on threads whenever they're, have a race coming up and it might be their first half or their first full, my number one piece of advice is to just have fun and take it all in. You have worked really hard for this. Your body knows what it needs to do. Even if you don't finish, you did the hard work of showing up and giving it your very best. So just have fun, enjoy the crowds, enjoy the energy. It's such a blast. Until next week, although actually, let me stop myself. I'm most likely going to take next week off because I am running the half, and I want to give myself a little bit of recovery time afterwards. So I will probably do a rerun episode next week. So until 2 weeks from now, I hope you have 2 amazing, super awesome weeks as always, and I will talk to you soon.